Good afternoon, kings and queens. So today I'm going to talk about something that might be a little controversial. Controversial in the sense that I'm going to challenge your thoughts, your way of thinking, and perhaps your trained behavior. Controversial also because being of Indian descent, my ancestors are going to be rolling in their graves because we are frugal by nature. I say trained behavior because we are taught to extract maximum value. That is, to make our dollar go further and get our biggest bang for our buck. Now, we love to compare pricing, and more importantly, now we're trained to compare pricing and look at it on a per unit basis, per milligram or per milliliter. So in the fragrance world, what am I talking about here? The question that I always get asked, should I buy a 30 ml, 50 ml, 100 ml bottle, or perhaps even a 200 ml bottle? Before we do that though, let's talk about how many sprays and how many occasions we're going to use that fragrance and how many sprays we can potentially get out of a bottle. As a rule of thumb, each spray is approximately 0.1 milliliters. Now, I say approximately because there are ultimately two variables. First, the atomizer, which the manufacturer makes, and that controls how much juice is dispersed in the spray. The second variable, of course, is going to be yourself. How you use that spray, how often you use that spray, whether you like a long press, a short press. Of course, there are going to be misfires, and ultimately, how many sprays do you use on each wear or each occasion? Now, if we use a rule of thumb that as a 1 milliliter sample, if I get that 1 milliliter sample, I simply add a 0 on the end, plus or minus 1. And I'll do that with a lot of the milliliters that I'm talking about. So you start with a number, add a 0, that will tell you how many sprays plus or minus the first number or the first two numbers. So a 1 milliliter sample is going to get you at least 10 sprays plus or minus 1. So between 9 and 11 sprays. Now, if on average you're an average sprayer, you spray your body 5 times per occasion, 10 divided by 5, you're going to get 2 full wears out of that 1 milliliter sample. Now, if we take a 5 milliliter and a 10 milliliter travel spray, again, using that same rule of thumb, with the 5, add a 0 at the end, so you got 50 plus or minus 5, so you're going to get between 45 and 55 sprays. The 10 mil, again, add a 0 at the end, you're going to get 100 sprays plus or minus 10, so between 90 and 110 sprays. Now, let's keep the math simple. So again, if you're a 5 spray kind of person, at 50 sprays, you're going to be able to wear that 5 milliliter sample at least 10 times or on 10 different occasions. Whereas the 10 milliliter is going to last you at least 20 wears or 20 occasions. And of course, the math then flows on. Again, these are rough calculations. So a 30 ml and a 50 ml bottle now, well, a 30 ml at a 0 at the end, you're going to get 300 sprays plus or minus 30, so between 270 and 330 sprays. Again, keeping the math simple, 300 sprays 5 times on each occasion, well, that's going to last you about 2 months. And of course, if you get a 50 ml, add a 0 at the end, 500 sprays plus or minus 50, between 450 and 550. Again, keeping the math simple, 500, 5 sprays per occasion. That's going to last you almost 4 months. And that's one fragrance. So if you've got 3 or 4 fragrances that you're going to rotate throughout the year, throughout the seasons, you're going to struggle to finish one of these bottles. Now, we know that we all love deals. We know that it makes us feel special. It makes us feel like we've won and we've got one over the big guy. The retailers are onto it though. They know exactly what they're doing. Now, I'm going to take you back to a scenario which we're all hopefully familiar with. And if you have kids, you'll know. If you don't, you'll find out one day. It's this whole hot dog scenario where you go into the grocery store and you can buy 8 hot dogs. You go to the bakery or within the baking section of the grocery store, you can only get 6 buns. Now, they know this. Trust me. They know that you're going to have to go back and forth and they're going to get at least 3 rounds of shopping out of you to use all of the buns and dogs. I've done the math. Let's take a look at Dior Sauvage EDT, the Eau de Toilette. Now, again, I've taken screenshots here, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. These are distributed by one of the big department stores locally. I'm pretty sure you'll work out who it is. Now, have a look at this. The 30 ml is $119. The 60 ml, $140. The 100 ml, $195. And the 200 ml, and check this out, flagged as best value, that's at $280. Now, of course, mathematically speaking, they're correct. But there's a lot of consumer psychology at work here. Consumers, we're trained to look for value. We're trained to look for those signs. We're trained to look at price per milliliters, per milligram, per unit. More basic than that, and this is probably triggering our fight or flight response, we're looking for those flash signs, those bright, colorful, the flashbang signs in red or yellow or bright green, clearance sales, bargains. That way we don't need to check. We don't need to confirm. Someone else has done all of the hard work, right? And we trust them. I mean, retailers want to give us the best deals. They don't want us to overspend, and they genuinely care about our household budget, right? Food for thought. Sure, mathematically speaking, as I said before, the 200 ml does work out cheaper at $1.40 per milliliter, while the 30 milliliter works out the most expensive at $3.95 per milliliter, and the 60 milliliter bottle works out at $2.33 per milliliter, and finally, the 100 milliliter works out at $1.95 per milliliter. Sure, the best value is the 200 milliliter, hands down, mathematically speaking. And if you're only going to wear one fragrance all year round, every day, no matter what the season, and you know for a fact that your lifestyle, your look, your tastes aren't going to change, there's not going to be any life events, then absolutely, it makes sense. Go for the 200 milliliter bottle. Where's the 50 milliliter bottle, I hear you ask? They went straight from 30 to 60 to 100 to 200? Of course. Why would they make it easy for you so that you can compare another 50 ml from another fragrance house and compare like for like? No. So you're forced to look at the per milliliter calculation to work out where you can get the biggest bang for your buck. So what I would do here, and again, no advice, this is just my personal opinion, I would buy the 30 milliliter. And yes, my Asian and Indian ancestors are going to be rolling in their graves because that's absolutely not what they would do. And that's my personal decision, and that's because I personally rotate through fragrances. My tastes may vary day to day, and obviously seasonality, weather, and of course, I wear them for different occasions, whether it's for work or whether it's for casual or whether it's a date night or something more formal. Sure, because I rotate that much, the 30 milliliter is going to last me a long time, at least a year or perhaps even longer. And here's the thing, the opportunity cost. I've got $161 being the difference between the 200 milliliter and the 30 milliliter. I've saved $161 to potentially spend on another fragrance and a little bit left over to buy some samples. But that's just me. So there you go, kings and queens. Some food for thought. Now, these are just my opinions. There is no right or wrong. If you do like content like this, please hit like and hit the notification bell and subscribe so that you can get alerted when I upload my next video. I'd love to know your thoughts on how you stretch your dollar further and partake in your olfactory journey. Please comment down below. And if you're in Australia, you never know, I might just reach out to you and send you a little surprise. Thank you, kings and queens. Enjoy your olfactive journey. The Olfactive Don signing out. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.